We are part of people's everyday life.
How much they trust you.
The risk is when people have very strong opinions without having tried it. Of course, there are concerns. It's an evolving technology that's probably the biggest revolution in our generation. It's undeniable.
Well, it's part of life.
That this is going to change life.
Do you think WhatsApp's going to be the biggest marketplace?
WhatsApp is a lot of things already.
Hello and welcome to NextGen, your exclusive look into the future through UAE's industry leaders. And today's guest is Faris Akkad, the Regional Director of Meta. Thanks so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Faris, you're not new to the Middle East in any way. You're nearly 20 years in Dubai. Where would you say the Middle East is right now as far as its tech journey, and if you compare it to the rest of the world?
So historically, I think we have been predominantly avid users and adapters of technology. Yeah, we when it comes to video, we have on our platforms twice the global average. It's the same thing with other platforms. On social media, we are very avid users. Arabic is a second language after English on our platform.
Wait, I'm just pausing. Twice the global average here in the region for all of
video.
For video, okay.
Video. And we see also a massive growth in messaging. You know, the region is growing 500% year on year. It's crazy how much we consume. I think the recent advent of AI, I feel the region now is being a bit more on the front foot in terms of trying to drive some of this conversation. So some of the funds that have been set up, some of the investments that have been set up is positioning the region in a very strategic place. Availability of capital, abundance of energy, I think long-term planning of leadership, as well as like a strategic decision to say this, we believe in this is going to be the next big thing and we want to play a part in it. So that shift, I think, is starting to happen on that front. But, a region that is 70% under 30 and quite aspirational, fits very well with what technology companies are trying to do. So I think I like the momentum that we're seeing right now from the region.
And well, perfect, obviously, for Meta.
Well, I think it's perfect for the industry and the region. Of course, we play our part. I think we've had some great success in a lot of our bets. AI is a big bet for us. So it's very exciting to see not just the investment that the region is doing, but also how accepting they have been and active on our AI platform.
Well, you don't really have a choice. I mean, AI is where everyone is going. So you have to be in that conversation.
You have to be in that conversation. I always advise people to play around with it, have an opinion about it, right? Mm-hmm. Have an educated opinion about it. Mm-hmm. I think our role is to make it as democratized and as available as possible and free. So people can experiment, and not just from a user perspective, but also from a development perspective. There's a lot of interesting cases here where government entity, private sector, individuals have developed using Llama, built messaging bots. We've had, our academy, our Metaverse Academy, people developed for our Quest, full-on immersive apps. So by providing the ecosystem, we're able to unlock some of this creativity from the region, which is fantastic.
Your rollout of Meta's AI was probably one of the biggest tech rollouts of the year. So for a region that already has an appetite for tech and AI, what would you say is your, advantage or what's the unique angle that Meta AI has?
Well, look, there's a lot of practical advantages, which is, we are already, we have a great distribution platform. We are part of people's everyday life today. If you open WhatsApp, which is again, the usage in the region is way above global average. Then
and this you're talking about the new Meta Assistant?
Well, I'm talking about WhatsApp in general, but also within that, you have the new Meta Assistant, which basically ties to your AI, and we've seen a huge adoption of that. We started selling our Ray-Ban Meta AI glasses in May this year in the UAE, and that has seen a massive appetite and growth, and most people are using it. Obviously, they're great glasses, but also enable you in AI. So I think, distribution, innovation, but also on a more strategic level, our AI system is open source, which gives a lot of advantages. If you're an organization that you want to host it or fence that model within your organization, Llama allows you to do that. It's free. So most organizations that are experimenting with models will probably experiment with Llama. It's a very cost-effective way to do so. We are working on a lot of integrations and evolution of the model. So, and we have a lot of practical uses beyond the ones that we're using internally. I think if you look at the messaging roadmap for most organizations, well, it might start with the basic marketing or authentication. You get your OTP codes, etc. But I think the goal is that it evolves into a utility where you have AI agents that engage with you or with your agent or other agents, right? And so I think that's the most practical, immediate use of this. I believe that most people's first interaction with AI will be some sort of agent, and I think the fact that messaging is on such a rise and it's so available today, it's probably going to be through messaging.
When you say that it's been used here since the rollout, I guess not more, but it's quite popular in this part of the world. Has there been anything surprising to you and your team in how people are using AI and how people have interacted with Meta's AI tools?
I mean, look, it's the beauty of this is it really reflects the needs. You know, I anecdotally hear so many people talking about a lot of education. You know, people use it to help them with cool little problems, homework.
Solve my homework for me.
Well, it's not so much solve. I think a lot of time it's trying to understand the solution, right? I think many of the education systems now, they give you the answer guide. It's just a question of, do you understand why, and can this be explained to you in a way that you can understand it? You can ask for additional example. You can ask for similar problems. So.
Do you think most people are using AI in a smart way? You know, there'll sometimes be a trend and you'll turn a picture into a graphic or so.
Yeah. Look, there's no judgment on how you begin. I think it's how you evolve. Most people will, and when I give these talks about AI, I usually ask the audience, you know, what do you use it for? And you can gauge where they are on their journey based on the questions they ask, right? So if it's search-like questions with, you know, maybe a more user-friendly answer is one thing, then people start using it for everyday tasks, general knowledge, do it yourself, for work.
And then creating your app, building your business plan.
And as you build confidence and build trust, I think that increases. And that's a healthy journey, you know? I think the risk is when people have very strong opinions without having
tried it.
And there's really no excuse for that, because
it's free,
the barrier to entry is very simple, and you can go as deep or as shallow as you want. I think to have an educated discussion about AI, you have to basically be experimenting with it. And most of the answers that I find from people who I find, you know, quite educated in the matter are usually very positive but nuanced. Right? Of course, there are concerns. It's an evolving technology that's probably the biggest revolution in our generation. And so there's a lot of unanswered questions. There are a lot of questions that we haven't thought of. But I think I show it to my 93-year-old father, and immediately he sees the potential. Like, and he's not a very technology savvy person, but he's wise enough to know that this is really, really big. And then I show it to my 5-year-old daughter, and she sees the potential. So it's undeniable.
Well, it's part of life.
That this is going to change life even. It's just a question of how do you want to engage with it? And do you want to be part of the discussion or simply kind of on the sideline because of fear or concern and there might be legitimate concerns, but I think, you know, if you're not engaged in the dialogue in an educated fashion, it just doesn't have credibility. So
you personally, I guess, curious for our audience, how do you use AI, not professionally, but just in your day-to-day?
Everything. I think I use different models for different things.
It's like a daily example, something really simplistic that maybe others wouldn't think about.
I sometimes wonder if you have like a business idea and before everybody has ideas and they just don't go anywhere and you know, and they don't explore them. Now you can simply on the way home, coming out of the gym, say, I wonder if they have vending machines that can make protein shakes. I don't know. you know, and you just dictate it and let it run, and
So you're just constantly in conversation with AI.
and then like have a look at the feasibility of that. It'll give you probably 80% of like, should I take the next step or not, right?
Because we have to remember that AI isn't always accurate. It's sometimes
it's not.
It sometimes
not.
lies.
And I think you know, it takes a couple of goes. It also what you're just trying to decide on, right? If I'm getting a second medical opinion, well, you know, I'll take that with a grain of salt, and we will do additional research. But if I really just want to know if
or you want to start your own thought process,
it'll tell me if others are doing it. It'll tell me probably there are some health concerns about keeping the protein at a certain temperature. Probably tell me about market entry challenges, like just enough to go. I think a level of information that you didn't have 2 minutes ago.
Yes.
Right. And I think that is what's powerful. Like,
so just the speed at which we can
and I
get
think
things
the
going.
0 to 1, like most people will have that idea and it will never be explored again or explored months later. If you can on the go, make that call, make that decision. And this is like the simplest one. It's not to mention.
Okay, so everyone should be starting their startups right now, basically. If you have any idea, just explore it with AI and who knows where it'll 100%, take you.
100%. And this is on traditional businesses, much less on businesses that don't exist or businesses that will solve frictions that we didn't realize were frictions. A lot of industries today, a lot of the very successful businesses today were created to solve frictions that that exist in the process, any process. Okay. AI will resolve that. So in a model where you don't have those frictions, what could a business look like? I think those are the most interesting ideas. I think most people are coming up to say, how can I make this more efficient, faster, which is great. And I think there's a lot of cost saving, and we probably benefit the most in that way as a company. Like Mark has been very vocal about kind of the efficiencies that this drives and the quality that it improves in terms of moderation and other things. But at the same time, there's a massive opportunity in the potential of things that it can create and things that you'd be not just willing, but very accepting
can solve
of AI
and simplify.
doing.
Yeah.
It's solve, simplify, or things that we simply don't have the capacity or it's inefficient for us to do today. So we don't even do, but now we can do.
Yeah. You've localized the assistant and the different tools here to Arabic. Share a bit of that process. How do you localize it to an Arabic audience?
It's a process as well. The same way the model learns, it learns Arabic. So you have, it ingests content. It also leverages the user usability. We notice that engagement with Arabic in the region is higher. Obviously, depending on but for the most part, people prefer to search in Arabic, prefer to engage with content in Arabic. So I think it's a miss not to have it in Arabic. Yeah. And so this was a huge part of maybe making sure we get it right, delaying it.
Right. What's the biggest cultural challenge when you're talking about an Arabic audience?
Well, I think for the most part, it's similar to other global challenges, which we try to address, and then as nuances come up here, we try to address them. The most challenging part is getting the model to understand the context, to answer you accurately, and obviously comply with our community standards that we apply.
And also I'm saying Arabic, but of course within the Arabic community, I mean, you look at the Gulf, and within the Gulf, there's so many differences. And then you compare the Gulf to the Levant. So Arabic is this huge umbrella, and within there are just so many different shades.
There are so many different shades. And we have experience with this because we exist at the most micro level of social fabric, and we try to do moderation in dialects and with the right type of audience and the right type of sensitivities.
You had mentioned some of the concerns around AI. And of course, there's a growing concern about how AI is being used to market. We see our ads being more personalized, which of course can be positive, but also can be a little stressful when it comes to privacy and intrusiveness. Where do you draw the line? And then how do you usually, as Meta, address these concerns that are, you can understand?
Yeah, no, these are fair concerns. And I think this is something that, again, we've had a lot of experience and we've tried to tackle very tactfully. I think the idea behind today offering you, whether it's the right content or the right ad, curating something that could be positive to you at that moment in time, right? It's something that you would want to see that is relevant to you. I think the friction a lot of times that comes with ads is that it's a disruptive experience. It's not, the ad itself is not in invading your privacy. I think it's a question of, again, people are targeting audiences. They're not targeting individuals. They don't target you. They target your profile. And so the idea is,
because sometimes it feels so personalized that you really wonder what is being gathered, what kind of information. Every step, everything I'm doing, looking at is just information that's being taken so that products can be sold to me later on.
Yeah. So the idea is to be able to provide you with kind of a bespoke match between a product that you would be interested in, and without at the same time revealing personal data, right? So somebody's targeting a demographic, and these inputs come from multiple places, right? So I think the algorithm would be doing a good job if you feel like, wow, this is really, really bespoke to me. And in most cases, if it's bespoke to you, it's something you need, and the brand is trying to reach you, this could be a positive thing. Yeah.
No, and I have to ask, because, and I'm sure this has been asked in the past, but people have noticed, especially, Facebook and your phone that is listening to you in a way, or it feels that way. And I'll explain. So let's say you'll be talking about something with a friend, and suddenly the ads are popping up around that topic that you'd never searched for, or, I'll meet someone who I haven't seen in 2 years, and suddenly my Facebook algorithm will show me their posts.
Yeah. So look, there's many inputs that play into that part, and these inputs take into consideration a pattern of behavior. Usually when a lot of people say, I'm getting ads for a trip to Bali. You probably searched or a trip to Bali at some point, or you looked at something.
Maybe just knows what I need right now.
Or ultimately that's a success of it, right? But it is a pattern. Obviously, you were next to somebody from a positioning standpoint. You met this friend who haven't met in a long time, and you've engaged in a manner that is not casual in terms of like you were together for a long time. So it'll recreate that, and it tests, right? It tests whether you engage with the piece of content it serves you or you don't. And if you do, then it kind of gets affirmation. It's the ultimately all I think we are after, all the brands are after, is to provide you ads to products you are likely to engage with, you're likely to want. Nobody's in the business of trying to serve you ads that you don't want to do. And I think there's frictions that maybe existed in the old media where you had to sit through an ad to get to this other side of that piece of content. That disruptiveness is now basically eroding by the fact that this ad fits with what you need right now. Right. So
and also who goes around clicking on ads, right? That's just not a smart way of advertising. People,
no, yeah,
I don't know anyone
you click on ads if you need it, right? And this is the part that I think where brands are seeing results and people are saying, look, how do you know I need that? It's success, right? It's ultimately it's providing the value of content, customer, advertiser, where there is this kind of win-win-win scenario.
So if we're looking at the region, you said messaging is huge here. I mean, WhatsApp is where everything is done. I mean, all businesses here have to use WhatsApp to be relevant, much more than other places in the world. I was just in the Netherlands, and I was hoping that I could interact with businesses using WhatsApp. They're not there. How has Meta seen the communication evolving with users or with your community, also from an ads perspective, but also just in general? Yeah, no, that's a great question. People are always amazed. To us, it comes as second nature that WhatsApp is the kind of backbone of communication. I say to people, you need, if you have a website as a business, it's a must. Now you have to have a social media account. You have to have a messaging strategy. I think if you're in the region and you don't have a messaging strategy and quite I would say a messaging roadmap, you're going to fall behind. This is where the customers are at. This is where existing customers and potential customers are at. So the journey can begin as simple as, look, this is where I send you confirmation, authentication, OTP codes, can evolve into
this is how I market to you. And today we also launched in the Middle East the ability through our ads manager, you can run a campaign and say optimize for Facebook, for Instagram, but also for WhatsApp. And it will send a very bespoke message, and you can opt out, and you can,
And how's that performing?
Incredible, because, open rate on WhatsApp is 98%. People are much more likely to also engage with the message that comes from WhatsApp. If you compare it to, say SMS is less than 50% and engagement rates less than 2%. We're in the 90s on both categories. And I get it. It's a trusted relationship, and we are very, very careful to maintain it that way. So, we're very strict about what is allowed, and then how you can communicate and what you communicate, because we realize that people see this relationship as very personal. And the ultimate goal is, and where we hope to see a lot of growth, and we're starting to see very promising signals in the region, is around utility, where it becomes your agent. So I talk to a business, and all my customer service happens through WhatsApp, and it feels very human, although I might be talking to a bot. And we have many case studies of that happening, whether
it's all through your phone, and your phone is with you
It's
all
all through
day.
your phone. It's all through, people, you don't need to download a new app. It's an app you're familiar with. And it's also how you like to communicate. Like, nobody wants to call and sit on an IVR of 9 options and 4 sub options and get lost and trying to get an agent. This feels natural.
I think it's disruptive when there's too much back and forth, with an AI, when it's asking you too many questions.
And that becomes really part of how the business wants to engage, right? But I think nobody questions that the channel of choice, socially or professionally, is WhatsApp. And the more you can allow, we have a business in sub-Saharan Africa, in South Africa specifically, that does underwriting for insurance on WhatsApp. So you do the whole thing, and then the last 90% of it is on WhatsApp. The last 10% is basically a biometric call on WhatsApp. BN Sports is doing 80% of customer service on WhatsApp across 22 territories, MENA being just one of them. Hala Taxi here, you can now order that taxi on WhatsApp. You just send a message, and it's very smart. And what we've seen in a similar case in Brazil is, after ordering the car a few times, people download the app. So it doesn't cannibalize the app consumption, because the app could be a bit more seamless, could give you a bit more of a benefit. But the WhatsApp option is the most frictionless option that you can afford. Whether if you're a logistics company and you want to confirm information, if you are a financial services company and you're trying to comply with notification of clients and selling of services, if you are a company that's trying to do upselling or cross-selling in a very targeted way, it's incredible. And then as an add-on to your existing social account. So we have something called Click to WhatsApp or Click to Messenger. So you see an ad on Instagram, and you might see a blouse you like, and you can immediately engage with the business and say, do you have this one in red? And it takes you out.
Do you think WhatsApp's going to be the biggest marketplace in the future?
WhatsApp is a lot of things already. It's just informally. Like, to your point, when we had the outage a couple of years ago for a few hours, it really brought up like how much WhatsApp was being used for. And so I think now we're trying to formalize this in many ways. A lot of stuff happens on WhatsApp: coordination, family groups, communication, businesses, like I said, support, logistics. We're doing an activation with F1 in Abu Dhabi and Doha, and we have a sponsorship with the Mercedes team around the use of WhatsApp to operate this very complex operation of operating a pit. And there's a documentary on Netflix that talks about that.
It's very good.
Yeah, it's remarkable once you put the imagination to something that is already enjoying such product market fit, what the potential can be.
You work closely with content creators. You have your own studio, which we're in right now. I'm curious, how do you think local and Arabic-speaking content creators influence the global stage, if at all?
Massively. We run studies on this, and over 70% of businesses say they see uplifts with the right type of content creator. Most users, over 60%, will say they're more likely to engage with brands that have a creator kind of endorsement. Creators are basically a personal reference. When you follow a creator and they're quite authentic and you kind of identify with their lifestyle or identify with their taste, then you have a reference point as close as it gets to a friend. And we all know, a recommendation by a friend who kind of has context around you is the most powerful type of reference.
But specifically for Arabic creators or Middle East-based creators?
It applies to all creators. I think here, what we're seeing more and more is that, yes, the Arabic content creators are enjoying a lot of success. They come in all shapes and colors, and there's a lot of, especially, I think Dubai is becoming a global hub for creators. I think there was some news headings, especially during COVID, that it's the capital of creators. But regardless, I think the advice I always give, if you're authentic, it's not about the number of followers. It's about how dedicated and aligned these followers are to the message.
How much they trust you.
And how much basically, if you're being authentic and they are choosing to follow you, then your recommendations will align with what they like, or not align, but they're following you, so they're exposed to them, right? And this is the most powerful link. So again, obviously there's purpose for different ads, but if you're trying to get that affinity and that credibility, if you're a new brand and you're trying to establish yourself in a certain position in the consumer's mind, probably one of the best ways is they see it live manifested with a creator that represents that. And
so
I think
always want to have a face, personality, person to the experience.
It could be one. It could be, I've seen very successful strategies happen with not necessarily mega creators, but micro creators, nano creators, right? If you have a whole ecosystem of users of a similar profile advocating for this, all the way up to like an ambassador sponsorship type of different dynamics, different relationship, but really aiming after the same thing, which is affiliation between the brand, your message, and this person's lifestyle. What doesn't work is if you're picking a luxury brand with a bohemian creator or vice versa. Like it has to be authentic. That's how this trust is built. So there is some time, and we're investing also in providing this transparency as much as possible to brands and creators to create the right match. But I think with the right match, it's magical. And we've also seen a lot of creators leverage their success to create off-platform brands, right? So
can you give an example?
The Katan sisters are the best examples. Like Huda and Muna both have created wonderful brands, global brands on the platform. They started and they are, they do paid messaging, paid marketing, but they also do a lot of organic, and they are incredibly authentic to their brand, right? Yes. They're very trusted and dear friends, and I think it's a fantastic case study of a creator that built.
They started really early, right? They identified the platform much before others did.
But there's many cases. Many cases, and you don't have to create.
And it's not too late.
It doesn't mean $1 billion company, right?
Right.
But it's. I think if people ask me about a case, here's a case, and they still are very authentic to the platform.
Yes.
Still very active. They haven't given up on it, and they give us a lot of feedback around product. They give us a lot of feedback on things we can do, and they're always eager to pilot and experiment.
All right. What does the next phase look like for Meta in the Middle East?
So look, we have a couple of very exciting bets that we're continuing to grow and explore. Our core business is healthy and growing, I think reflecting of the growth of the region when it comes to advertising, and we're working in much more involved and creative ways with most of our clients. AI, I think the rollout, the region is quite fertile for AI, not just from hosting, energy, et cetera, but also from usage. And we think there's a lot of case studies. A massive appetite for wearables, which is, I think we just announced our display, Ray-Ban display, which comes with a sensor R-band and a display screen that you can engage with. That has been a huge hit and when we speak to our partners at Luxottica, they tell us that it's one of their top selling items. The Quest is also, we're aiming to bring in here. As you know, there's a huge gaming culture in the region, and it's already here. People use it, and it's one of the regular questions we get asked when it will be available. So I think all of these, I think, are converging to this future where we all are relying on AI in many ways, not exclusively, but to enhance our life. And so that's going to require wearables. It's going to require the channels. It's going to require messaging. And I'm very proud of the fact that we have bets in all of these spaces, and in many we are leading. I mean, I think that especially when it comes to wearable, I would say it's the uncontested AI wearable at the moment. There's nothing that comes close to it, and the market reflecting that.
You're also expanding. You're expanding to Syria. Is there anything you can share about the operations that you're launching or relaunching
I think
there?
It's just like with all countries. We follow the guidance that comes from the U.S. State Department in terms of, if historically we didn't engage commercially in Syria because of the ads restrictions or the embargo. As this embargo has lifted, now we, along with our sanctions lawyers, have explored how that works. And we've announced recently that now you can target ads towards Syria, and hopefully soon ads from Syria.
Then are you setting up an office there? Is there going to be
a
team there?
We don't have offices in most countries we serve.
Okay.
Our primary headquarter office is here. And I think we'll serve just like we serve the rest of the region, provide the tools, and most of them are self-help, so people can leverage our platform to do what they need to do.
All right. I want to end, I guess, on a personal note, and then we'll have a quick rapid fire. What would you say is the best advice you received in your career?
I've had a lot of advice, but I think something that has worked for me is have natural curiosity and explore it. Like, if you find something interesting, explore it. You don't know when it's going to become useful. I've always found a whole array of things interesting. Geopolitics. I find history quite relevant and interesting. Technology. And I find they intersect. Like, there's a lot of history does not repeat itself, but it rhymes, as they say, right? So you learn from every aspect of things that you focus on. And I think especially if one has the pleasure, like I do, of doing a role that is quite kind of diverse, it all comes into use, and it's in a remarkable way kind of shapes you in a unique way.
Okay, and what's one piece of tech that you can't live without right now?
WhatsApp. 100%.
WhatsApp. That's probably a lot of us.
Yes.
All right, we're going to end with a round of rapid fire. You ready?
Yes.
All right. So the last app you check before bed?
WhatsApp.
Threads, Reels, or Stories?
Reels.
One thing people misunderstand about Meta?
We don't sell data.
Gen Z or millennials?
Well, I think, look, I'm a millennial, but it's not fair. I think the future is Gen Z. Let's go with Gen Z.
Oh boy. All right, podcast content, long form or short form?
I like both, depending on the moment.
And then one piece of advice to young tech entrepreneurs?
Experiment. I think this is probably the most exciting period in our generation, where it's so easy and accessible to be able to do things at a very low cost without the help of others, and at least get to a point to know if you're willing to invest or not. So try and experiment.
Well, thank you, Faris. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show today.
Thank you for having me.